Hello, hello. Welcome 2025. Like, can you believe we're in 2025? Truly crazy. And it's I feel like 2025 is almost over. Like it's nuts. But anyways, crazy. Super excited for today. We have the incredible and beautiful Cassandra Webster. If you're on YouTube, you're obviously seeing how beautiful she is. And if you're not, you're just going to hear how incredible she is. So, Cassandra Webster, welcome to today's show. And Cassandra, can you tell the audience who you are, share a little bit about your story, like who you are and where you're living, right? All these cool things about you. And let's rock and roll. And we're excited for today's episode.
Thank you so much, Thais. Thank you for that intro. You're so amazing and gorgeous yourself. And I really appreciate you having me on. My name is Cassandra. Some people know me by Cass. I am the Senior Director of Home Service Sales at Consumer Fusion. So I work with businesses on a daily basis when it comes to what are the strategies and supports that they can implement when it comes to enhancing their online reputation and attracting more customers. So been here for about a year and a half. I'm not new to the trades. I used to work for a digital marketing agency where I sold digital marketing to trades businesses, roofing, HVAC, plumbing. That's really where I got my start and found such a love and a passion for the trades. Honestly, I was a little nervous at first because I'm like, okay, here's me. At the time I was like in my 20s, I'm a woman in the trades. How is this going to be?
Yeah.
But I just felt this kinship in this industry of people who just grind hard like I do, that just want to do right by, their employees, provide for their families. Left the industry for a little bit. I went to big corporate tech. I worked for LinkedIn in great company, but I realized really quickly that I wasn't a fit for big corporate tech. I really missed that just down to earthness of the trades and the friendships and the connections I still had in the industry. So timing was just perfect that I had this opportunity to come back and head up our home services division here at Consumer Fusion.
Love it. Okay, so as you heard a little bit about Sandra, the main topic about today is really this reputation. So when it comes to building trust and credibility, which is something Cassandra has really done a phenomenal job doing within the roofing industry. And really to help us dive into that, we're going to ask her some questions of how she was able to build that. So Cassandra, you're not just in a business to help people grow, right? You're celebrating their wins, and you have like this passion about you. You just have this overflow. So it doesn't happen by accident. It's all intentional. I can just see even with how professional you are when we met over at RoofCon. But what's your why? What fuels you to do this work every single day, and to do it with such excellence?
Oh, that's a really good question. I feel like having a strong why is what has carried me in my life and my career, because I feel like I've always been intrinsically driven because I came from a single mom, oldest of three. My dad was in jail when I was a teenager for years, and I saw my mom working three, sometimes four jobs just to provide. And I always told myself, I'm going to work hard. I want to be in a position where I can provide for my family. So that's carried me into circles where I don't necessarily have the pedigree for some of the jobs that I was at. I don't have the fancy BA. I don't have, when I was in my 20s, years and years of experience. And when I first started in digital marketing, I didn't know anything at all. I just had a drive and a hunger. And my why now is what carries me on. I have my son, my boyfriend, our fur baby who's snoring behind me.
Love it.
So that's always in my thought of how can I support these people, my family that I love, but on the personal side. But on the professional side, I'm a chatty Cathy. I love to connect with people. I love to help people. So when I see all these really great, awesome people in the trades, these business owners, these roofing businesses, I want to be able to enable them with the education and the strategies that they can leverage to really take control of their online presence, because it's so important. And then when they call me and they celebrate, or they're like, hey, we upped our rating, we got more leads, I feel like I'm excited. That for me is a win. And so that passion and that genuine desire to help people, that is really what fuels me too.
Yeah, especially because in our industry, right, in the industry of roofing, just having raving clients, right, reviews, things of that nature are super vital, and so that you guys really help there. One thing that you mentioned is what's your why is almost seems like you have a lot of grit, right? You have this
Yeah.
grit in you. I can relate to this as I don't have the pedigree either, right? But I just always was an outperformer at work because I'm like, I can outwork anybody, right? So I don't know if it's that thing. It's like, okay, I don't have that, but I can outwork you. And it's, I think that same grit of like where we saw the people we loved, our parents, work so hard. I saw my parents go out there and like clean Burger Kings at night in addition to their work so that they can bring in extra cash to, for me and my brothers. So it's like they just sacrifice so much to make our lives better. And so that's like a drive, right? So I'm kind of
Yeah.
thinking that's kind of you. So like it totally makes sense. You were incredibly driven, and your why is the people you love. And I think your mom being, just you want to impact them. So totally relate that. And you are the perfect person for what you do because you were really there to like help your clients have success, and you thrive in this. So I'm excited to hear more about this. Okay, so Cassandra, another thing for you. You've got a heart for tradespeople, right? You mentioned that, like you really enjoyed it. You went to LinkedIn and you were like, it just wasn't the right fit. Roofers, plumbers, and all the hardworking individuals who keep our homes running, our buildings running. They're a vital part of just our society and our country, right? Why do you think it's so important for them to take control of their online presence? Sometimes, it's some I believe there's definitely more of a wave now that they're realizing how important their online presence is. And
Yeah.
then, but there's still so many that don't really take advantage of that. So, why do you think it's so important for them to take control of their online presence?
Yeah, it's so important for them to take control because you want to be able to attract more customers. And you can do that by meeting them where they're at. Because back in the day, it was yellow pages, it was
Yeah,
all about word of mouth. And word of mouth is great. But the thing is that when a homeowner has an emergency, let's say their roof is leaking, they're not thinking, oh, let me think about the roofing company that my neighbor Susie told me about. In that moment of
mhm,
panic, they're like, oh, let me grab my phone. Let me find who's the roof repair near me, who is the best
right,
roofing businesses in whatever the city is. That's where they're at. And those results of who are showing up in those local searches, it's heavily dependent on your online presence and your online reputation. So you
100%.
could be, greatest roofer, do great work, but nobody's going to know that if it's not online and it's not on your online presence. And so, it's not just about having a 4.9 5.0 rating. Google's looking at how many reviews do you have, how are you responding to those reviews, and how does that look in comparison to the other competitors in your area. So it is something that is really priority for growing and scaling the business.
Yeah, and I think before, right, it was like, that's something for the millennials and the other gen. But we're really seeing that it's all gen, like even the boomers, right, are going like, well, let me look at their reviews, right? My grandma's like, let me go look at a review. So it's like it's everybody is going to their
And
phones.
voice search, even my mom now, she'll be like, hey Siri, show me who is a roofing company near me. And my Siri's trying to do it, the results. So it doesn't matter the age.
Right.
Everybody is on this game of like, okay, let me use technology to help me find what I need.
Yeah, 100%. And it really is like, and I think you mentioned it, like you might be doing phenomenal work. And this is the thing, right? I think what happens is they're like, this is something I want to do, but I don't have time, right? Or
Mhm.
it's something I want, but I just don't have time. But that's why there's such a return on investment when they work with, companies like with you, Cassandra, right? Like when they work with you, because you guys are the pros in this area and you guys can really help them thrive. So, yeah, okay. Like, guys, ladies, if you're not utilizing your presence, totally do it. It's going to be a game changer for your
Take
company.
control, people. Take control.
Yeah, take control of like how people perceive you. So
Yeah.
100%. Okay, so now let's talk about the roofing. Let's talk about roofing specifically. So roofers work in the industry where trust is everything, right? So customers are literally putting their homes in their hands. So as we know, so many like people, this is their biggest asset, right? Their home is their biggest asset for many, and they're putting it in your hands, right? And I always say you don't know the individual that you're supporting. It might be a widow, right? It might be a family that just brought their first baby home, or someone who just, everyone has a story. So it's not just putting a roof, it's not just a house, it's really the people living in it and how it's going to have a ripple effect on their life, right? How it's going to either make them super frustrated or super happy that they can come home to a place that they can trust, has a good roof and a good foundation. So there's so much more to what is taking place. But what's one thing a roofer contractor can do today to start building a solid online reputation? Like, what can they start doing today? Like, right now, if they're like, okay, I don't have a reputation, what do they do right now?
Yeah, I think what they can do, and this is something that they can even do on their own, is just ask your customers to leave you the review. Because I feel like sometimes with some of the businesses I speak to, they have the approach of, like you said, more businesses are starting to realize the importance, but sometimes there's this mindset of, well, it doesn't have to be that much of a priority because we do good work. So the reviews are just going to come. We don't need to ask, or maybe people get uncomfortable. I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable, but you need to make the ask. And it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm going to automatically add this software and do this and do that. Sure, having a foundation is a process and it's important, but it's something as simple as your employees who are customer facing, they are aware of the customer sentiment. They're aware of how the job is going. So if you have a customer where like I love what you said of like, this is their home, their families, their investment. So if you're able to help them with that, they're thrilled. So in that moment of happiness, it's just as simple asking them, hey, really happy that you are so thrilled with the job we did. It would really help me out. It would help the business out if you left us a review. Would it be okay if I send you a review request link? What customer that's happy with the work you did is going to say no? So it's like if there's some discomfort there, it's about checking that at the door and
Mm-hmm.
just making the ask, because that's going to make a huge difference. And then also not only making the ask, but even sending a follow-up, sending a review request. But then if you don't hear anything from them, life's busy. I got kids, practices, doctor's appointments. I may be well-intentioned, but then I forget.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting them a follow-up email. Hey, I noticed you didn't leave us a review. Would you mind going in and leaving that? Would really help us out. The data shows that that's going to dramatically increase the chances that that person's going to leave you a review. That
Mm-hmm.
is something that is free for you just to start training your employees to just make the ask.
100%. Also, human psychology, right? People love to feel like they're helping, right? So I think exactly what you said. Like, if it was a great experience for the client, the simple, like, hey, could I ask for your help? Right. And I think when anyone says, Taste, can I ask for your help? My ears already kind of go up. And I'm like, yeah. And if you're like, hey, can I ask for your help? And exactly what you said, like, it would be such a huge help if you gave your feedback. Is it okay if I send you a quick link? And even now, guys, you can literally, like, for me, for example, when people ask me for reviews, I'm like, the hardest thing is like the writing part. I'm like, there's so much. You can even make it so simple that you can be like, hey, I'm going to put together a quick text. You can kind of review it, make adjustments if you want, and give you an idea of like what you can share. Or if it's right on point, you can copy and paste it and put it right in there, right? So like now you're making their life even easier, and you can utilize technology for that too, right? So I think that sometimes makes people hesitant, right? I want to leave a review, but I don't know how to leave it. So make it even easier for them. Or like, here's the link, and here's some example text if you would like that you can utilize. I think even that works really
I
well too.
love that idea. That's so great. Another thing is for businesses, some of them, like let's say you're incentivizing your employees who are getting reviews. They could be asking the customer like, oh, if you said something along the lines of this, and if you mentioned my name, it would really help me out. I'm like you. If they say that, I'm always the one to leave a review, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to make sure your boss knows you're incredible. And so then I'm excited to leave the review because I have that emotion tied to this individual who's just saved me and helped me in this situation that I wasn't expecting with my home.
Yeah, and it's almost kind of that deposit of like, awesome, I got to impact a life, right? So I
Yes.
think that human psychology, it's like people want to help, people want to make an impact, right? And even if it's with a review that maybe it seems uncomfortable to ask, but ask like, hey, can you help me? And if they say no, they say no. But if they have like, they're most likely to say yes. What's the harm, right, of asking? So
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
think it's great. I think that's perfect. Like, if you're currently not really tapping into your reviews, man, just simply ask and make it super simple too, right? Can you help me
Yes.
out? Could you leave a
Yeah.
review? Here's the link. here's some text if you want there. And here's my name spelled out if you want to plug it in, right? Just super easy for them.
Yes, make it as easy as possible for them to get there, leave you that review, and
Yeah.
then done and done.
Yeah, totally. Okay, totally agree. And that was fantastic. There are some good points there. Okay, so sometimes businesses get it wrong before they get it right, which is totally fine. I think that is business life. So, in your experience, what's the biggest mistakes you see in reputation management, and how can roofers avoid it? Roofing contractors and their teams avoid that.
I think the biggest mistake that I see is just not making online reputation management a consistent priority. So, what I mean by that is I talk to some businesses where they're like, oh, I'm at a 4.9, I'm good. There's other things, we know running a business is there's a lot going on. So they just kind of deprioritize reviews. But the problem with that is you could have a 4.9, but you're not getting any new reviews, meaning you're not giving Google or your potential customers any new relevant content for them to consider. And the industry is continuing to grow. So within your market, if you have competitors that are making, full force effort on online reputation, and they start to have more reviews than you, they're responding to their reviews. They are, their customers are leaving them quality long reviews that are speaking about their service. They could easily be taking away that market share just because you took your foot off the gas, because online reputation isn't going anywhere and new business is coming in. This generation, they know, okay, I need to hit the ground running. So as soon as you deprioritize it is when you see that shift in your ranking, or maybe you're not getting as much of a return on your ad spend because the competitors are taking away that market share. So always just make it a focus, have there be a process and that solid foundation in place where it's always something that you're focusing on continuing to move the needle.
Totally. And I think it also makes, especially as a roofing contractor, when your forefront is your sales reps, right? And so there's this thing for a sales rep or anyone in sales when they're part of a really badass company, right? That has great branding, great marketing, great Google reviews. They just stand up differently, right? And so they want to, you're going to get a different quality of sales rep. So it just impacts everything, right? So it's like, if you have bad ratings, your sales reps, unless they're like, I'm really into this, I want to make this a better company, and they're all in hands on deck for you. But if they're like, I want to be part of a kick-ass company because I know I'm going to get higher quality clients, you're going to be also able to retain better talent in your company. You're really focused on making sure your company appearance is aligned with the same quality that it's who your sales reps are representing. So
1,000%. And that affects recruitment, which we already know in this industry is really hard. It's been difficult for years and it's not getting any easier. So if you have a not great brand online and people you're trying to hire, they're not just going to like a Glassdoor and Indeed. They're looking at your Google reviews. And if you don't have a solid reputation, that's not the kind of company that A players are going to want to join.
No, absolutely not. I would say like you and myself are A players in the corporate world, right? Working with LinkedIn and working with, stainless steel manufacturing, with Fortune 500 companies, all these different things. It's like A players, we want to work with A player companies. So, so your branding is super, like your Google reviews are vital. So, okay, super. There's a ripple effect on everything, right? So super positive there. Super. Yeah. So guys, don't, like Cassandra said, do not, pull your foot off the gas on this. It is super important. It is truly not only the now, but it's also the continuous future. Okay. So Cassandra, you've given us like so much to just think about and just apply as well. Like everything you shared can be applied like right now, right? If you're listening to this, you can literally start calling some of your clients or texting them and giving them your Google link, all that stuff. So this is totally actionable that will have such a positive impact on your business. But before we wrap this up, could you leave everyone listening? What are your thoughts? What's one piece of inspiration to take them and myself as we're listening to you into 2025? What would it be that you would like to share to the audience?
That's so great. I think, just keeping it in line with the topic of online reputation, just keep in mind that that is one of the greatest assets that you can leverage to attract customers to your business. And Thais, you said something was really memorable to me about these are homeowners that are trusting you. And that trust is so important because you are taking care of their homes, their families. A lot of times it's a large investment in some cases that they weren't expecting. And so just keep in mind when you're thinking about online reputation, that trust is starting before you're walking into their house to start the work. That trust starts online. So you may have the best business in the world, do really great work, but the businesses that do great work or that are, thriving, they do great work and they're telling the whole world about it. So that's a mindset that you need to adopt to crush it in 2025.
Oh, you just hit something really well good. So I think it's so easy if you're like, I don't really like to boast, right? I don't want to boast. I don't want to brag about myself. And you're like, no, I'll do my work, keep my head down, and it's going to overflow. It is true to a way, right? So you are going to get raving clients and they are going to talk about you 100%. But it's so important for you to actually brag about your team, like brag about the great work you're doing, and not in it's not in a prideful way. It's so that it impacts many people reading it, right? So it's the decision factor. If someone's reading it and they're like, I was working with Cassandra and her team, let's say you were a roofing contractor, right? And like, man, they paid attention to the smallest detail. They made sure all of the nails were picked up from the ground, and they made sure that, my yard looked so clean before they left. And I didn't have to go and do an additional task to clean it all up. Wow, they went above and beyond. That's awesome. That means you as a contractor are doing a fantastic job coaching, training, building a great organization. And so the world needs to know about it. So like shift your mindset. It's not bragging. It's not boasting in like a prideful way, right? You're not a jerk, but you want to share all the great things your team is doing so the world can see. And then you can, other people that want that same type of quality can go to you because they'll never know unless they see it, right? They can read about it. So
Exactly.
mindset shift. I feel like that's what constantly, leaders are constantly having to do, like shift our mindset. So yeah, that was great. Super impactful. And I think that goes for all of us, right?
Yes.
All of us here. But all right, everyone, thank you so much for being on another episode of Roof It Up. Cassandra, again, thank you so much. And Cassandra, one more thing. Can you let everybody know your handles? Like, how can they reach you? What's your point, like your contact? Like if they want to know more about how they can work with you, how can they reach you? Share that.
Love it. And thank you so much for having me on. This has been amazing. But if you're wanting to, you're a roofing contractor, a business owner, or you just want to learn more, I'm always happy to have a conversation. So you can always email me directly. I'm at Cassandra@consumerfusion.com. I'm really heavy on LinkedIn. So you can search me up, Cassandra Webster with Consumer Fusion on LinkedIn. And then I'm on Facebook as well. So if you just want to meet, chat, get some insights, feel free to reach out and I am happy to connect.
Love it. And I know that was pretty quick. So if you're like on YouTube or you're on Spotify or wherever you're listening to this, just scroll down and we're putting all her handles below. So making it super easy so you can just tap and go directly to her on LinkedIn, directly to her email, etc. So Cassandra, again, thank you so much for being on the show. We really, really appreciate your time. And I'm excited to have you on the podcast. Hopefully you do want to join us in the future, but would love to have you.
Count me in, and thank you again so much. Take care.
Awesome. Thanks everybody. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.